Hey folks, time for another deep dive into a slice of Pornograffitti. We're going to be looking at When I'm President today, so we're going to look at Nuno's riffs, all the little fills, all the little nuances he's playing, so look at the whole track. So this first riff here, now obviously there's a whole kind of pick scrape thing in the intro, I'm not going to look at that. But this riff is based off like an A power chord, and what we're doing here is we're playing the open A string, second fret the D string, play that, and then the key to the groove of this that sometimes you see missing in transcriptions is after you've played that, there's a little A string pan muted with a downstroke to tee up the next note, and that next note is third fret the A string, then you play fourth fret the A string, little gap there, little rest to add to that funk. Then I'm going to play 0, 3, 4 on that A string there, so I do that with an upstroke and then pan mute 3, 4 down up. Then we've got fourth fret of the D string, so this is where you have to kind of make a decision how to play this here. Nuno plays that, you'll use his fourth finger to play these notes in the D string. You could bar with the third finger, but you might find that you've not got, and I don't like doing that either, but you might find you've not got enough kind of grip there for vibrato or pinch harmonic vibrato that we've got later on in it. Or you might want to do switch to your first and second fingers there to get that kind of third finger on there. So you have to kind of make a choice there, and sometimes when I'm playing it I'll switch between different ways of doing it. So that's the first bar, little gap there. Then we play it again. Then I've got fifth fret, that D string, yeah. Then you go back to the fourth fret, yeah. Then you go back to the fifth fret, but you play 4 there now, so you've got a down up, yeah. And then the main groove goes with the riff now. So you're playing it all the same again, but you've just got little fills at the end, so you go. So now when you do that 4, you've now got a 3, 4 in the A string to lead you back into the A power chord. And that one there, you play 0, 3, 4, and then 5, 3. So I do 5 in the D string, and then 3 in that E string, maybe with a bit of vibrato there as well. Yeah. Then you're back to. In this one here, you can dig in a little bit and get a little bit of a pinch harmonic. Now, personally, I find it awkward trying to do vibrato with the fourth finger unless I'm supporting it with the other fingers. So for that one there, I tend to switch it and might move to the third finger there so I can get a bit more control in the vibrato. And in the last bar, we have this kind of fill here, so I'm playing that A power chord, do the 3, 4 as usual, then I've got 4 in the D string, little staccato kind of feel again, and then I do 4, 2, 3, 4 on the A string, 4, 2 in the D string, 3, 4 on the A string, and then the A power chord sustained, which leads us into the verse. And that's it. So it's all about this, getting that little downstroke before you play the 3 and the 4. Yeah, just getting that groove of it. So, next bit's the verse. Sounds like this. So our first verse is pretty straightforward actually. It's kind of 10 bars, but 8 of those bars are just like a sustained A power chord. So we've just come in this, let this ring for 4 bars. Then you get to the 4th bar, and the last beat you're basically going to do a big old rock slide, but the way kind of Nuno likes to do is like a pick scrape, and then a slide down like that. So you can pick scrape down, E and A strings, and then slide down behind it just to make it longer over the beat. And then what we're doing is we're basically playing our riff but in E this time, so I've got an E power chord. Yeah, so I'm playing that open E string, second fret A string, again, that little palm mute, open E string there, just to kind of, or maybe even like, you might hear the two strings as well, just to tee up the 3rd fret of the E string there. And then you do 0, 3, 4, and then 4, 4 on that A string there. And you can dig in by that 2nd hitting the 4 there. Yeah. Then you do it again. And this time you're doing your 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, then 3, 4, and then open A power chord again. Going again for that 4 bars. Yeah. And then of course at the end of that, you would slide down to get into the pre-chorus. So it's pretty straightforward, that first verse. And the pre-chorus sounds like this. So the pre-chorus riff is one of my favourite riffs in this song, and later on, one of my favourite riffs in the whole album actually. What we're doing here is we're going to be playing kind of 3 chords, or 4 chords really. We've got like a G power chord. And what I'm doing here is I've got my middle finger in the 3rd fret E string. That's muting the A string, and I've got open D, open G, and I've got my 3rd fret of the B string there with the 3rd finger. And I actually got the 4th fret of the high E string there with the 4th fret, the 4th finger, sorry. You know, that G kind of big G power chord. But you might actually be hearing up to the B string the way Nuno's kind of playing it. That's our first chord. Second chord's an E power chord. So open E string and then 2nd fret the A and the D strings. Then we've got D power chords. I'm playing open D string, 2nd fret G and 3rd fret the B string there. Use the 1st and 3rd fingers for that. And then an A power chord. Open A string and then barring the 2nd fret, the D and the G. That's our kind of 4 chords. But what makes this really cool is the rhythm in which it's played. That rhythm there. So what we're doing here is you've kind of got rhythmically you've got like a dotted 8th and a 16th. So when you're playing that, that's like a long downstroke, and then you play an upstroke on the E power chord, and then there's a rest there. So that gap is what gives the groove. Yeah. Then staying in that E power chord, you're going to do up down, and the down's kind of staccato like that. So it's up down, little gap, and then you hit a downstroke on beat 4 on that E power chord again. As you transition to the next bar, you can sometimes hear this little groove, like down up, just to kind of get the groove there. So that's slowly we kind of go. And then you would get into the next bar. And then the next bar, it's the D to A chords with the same rhythm. Yeah. So again, you're switching that downstroke in the D chord, and then an upstroke in the A, and then the little gap. Back to the G and D. And then we lead into the chorus with this little octave thing. So you've just done that D, A. So you've done your up, down, down. And then you do down, kind of F sharp octave here. So I've got 2nd fret E string, 4th fret the D, go up a fret to the G, and then up to G sharp to lead into the chorus, yeah. So that chorus sounds like this. So compared to everything we've had so far, the chorus is a little bit more involved. It's about 9 bars long. And what we've just done is this. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going up to an E triad shape. So I'm barring the 9th fret, the D, G and B strings. And what I'm going to do is change that to an A. So what I'm going to do is then put my 3rd and 2nd fingers onto the 11th fret D string, and then 10th fret that B string respectively. That's your chords that we're going to play here. But what we do is we go. So what I'm doing here rhythmically, I've got that dotted 8th downstroke, and I hit an upstroke on that, and then play down up palm mute and A string there. like that. And then downstroke, I'm going to play this A triad here. So I've got that 11 on the D, 9 in the G with this bar, 10 in the B, and then you hear 9 in the high E string as well. Then what Nuno does is he kind of arpeggiates the notes. He plays the G string, E string, and then B string. Yeah. That kind of rhythm there. Then you slide down to get into basically our riff again, ending on that 4th fret D string. Then what we're going to be doing is playing E triad down here. So what I'm playing here is I'm playing 6th fret, that D string, and I'm going to bar the G, B and E strings at the 4th fret, and then my middle finger's at 5th fret of that B string there. So the way you've got the chord voices like that, you might just hear up to the B string, you might hear the high E string, but it's the same rhythm where you've got that dotted 8th and the 16th, so it's down, up, and this time it sustains. And what Nuno does is then he plays like A power chord after that, and then the beat 2, so it's like 1, 2. Yeah, so you're shifting from here down to an A power chord, as we talked before, open A string and then barring 2nd fret, the D and G strings there. And then in this iteration, this kind of varies at each chorus that he plays. You then got basically an up down on the and the beat 3, or just before the and the beat 3. It kind of goes and 4. So I've got the kind of A string, upstroke palm mute, and then playing the A power chord, and then it's like and 4. Then you're back into the riff again, but this time we end. So I do the 4/4, and then I do the 3/4 and the A string after it. Then we're going to be playing an A power chord to D power chord here. So I've got A power chord, same rhythm here, it's like a down, quick upstroke, just like we did up here, then open A string, down, up, palm mute, and then I play a D power chord. So I've got my 2nd fret G, 3rd fret the B string there with the 1st and 3rd fingers. That just sustains, and then you get the riff again. And then this time, because we're going to play something kind of tricky here, do the 4/4, and then it's like a 3/0 you hear, because the open A string gives them time to transition. And what we're going to be playing, this is really cool thing here, it's form a G power chord, so it's that one we've done before. So I'm on the 3rd fret E string, and then I'm on the 3rd fret in the B and the E strings with the open D, G in there. But Nuno arpeggiates this, so you're doing like a... So the way to play this is you're playing like a palm mute on that E string, then you go open G, downstroke, then I'm playing the high E string with an upstroke. Sometimes you might hear that B string. This is kind of a arpeggiated thing. I guess you're playing all the G's there when you're doing that. Then you move the note down in the E string, a semitone, so you've now got an F sharp there. Same thing though. I'm muting that, open G string, downstroke, high E string, upstroke. Yeah. Then I'm going to move that down to the 1st fret. But I have to change shape now because I've got this D with an F in the bass. So I've got that F, then I play open D string. Oh, sorry, it starts in the G string. So what you're going to do is hold this shape, 2nd fret the G string, 3rd fret the B string with the 3rd and 4th fingers there, and you've got an open E string as well. Arpeggiating wise, you're going to do G, B, G string, and then E string, B string, G, B. And you play it like that. It's easier to kind of play than to say, to be honest. Yeah. So that's that kind of little arpeggiated bit. Yeah. Then we have a cool little riff here that's kind of on the E power chord. So I've got the E power chord barring at the 2nd fret, the A and D strings. And it's the same rhythm, dotted 8th and a 16th, so that's like a down. Then I'm going to play an open E string, probably open without the palm mute. So we've got this little groove here, so I play that E power chord, open E string. Then think of different ways you can think about this. If you think about groups of 4, it's 3/0 3/4. So So I'm doing 3-0 palm mute, and then 3-4 probably without a palm mute, just to let it pop out a little bit more. So that's 3-0, 3-4. Then I'm going the E string open, palm mute, down up, then 3-4-0 on that E string, and then that's in a downstroke, and then the upstroke I play the open E and B strings at the top, and then there's a little percussive sound after that. Yeah, it's one of these grooves, when you break it down like that, it seems a little more involved, but when you start getting, you know, you get into the kind of swing of it, and then once you've done that, you basically do it again. So you've got your 3-0, 3-4, so E power chord, open E string, 3-0, 3-4, and then just end it with an E power chord, like that. Yeah, and that leads us into the second verse. So that second verse sounds like this. So now we get into the second verse. So what we're doing here is we've just done that E power chords, stopped it off there. Roll back in the volume now. And what we're going to be playing here is kind of like a almost country kind of bluesy type thing. And it's all based around an open A7 chord. So I'm playing like open A string, second fret D, open G string, and then second fret that B string with the third finger. So second and third fingers. And we're going to move between the first and third frets here. But the way it starts is he plays the A power chord, so he's basically doing the A and the D strings here. So what you're doing here, take the shape, move it back a fret. So with the middle finger, play first fret the D string, staccato, then slide from the first to the second fret there. Keep all the strings ringing here. Play the open G string, and then second fret that B string now, that third finger. And then the end of that bar, you've got the G and the D strings again to lead into kind of the A string there. So the way I like to think about that is you're doing like da bat, and then that bat is on the beat. And then something a little bit more involved in this bar here. You've just done like, then you've pretty much got the open A string, probably with the D string again. And then this is our rhythm that we've got throughout this whole song. That dotted 8th and 16th again. So downstroke, and then play an upstroke in the B and the G strings there. And then the minute you've done that, you've got a down up on the A string there, slightly pan muted. Then what I'm going to be doing is do probably a pull off on that A string there with the middle finger. Yeah. And that kind of again leads into this A. So once you've done that pull off, play 2-0-2 on the D, G and B strings there. So you're just kind of playing that A7 chord. Then open G string, so that's kind of your 16th notes. And then they're doing 3 on the D string, 3 in the B string, and then open G string, and then back to 3 in the D string. Yeah. The way it's played though, you can hear that kind of slide between the second and third fret, but you're not playing it, if that makes sense. So it's like that. So you're playing D, G, B, G string, then D, B, G, D. And then that slides back to the second fret for the next bar. So that bar kind of slowly goes. Yeah, and then you move back. And once you move back here, you just sit back. That's on the beat. Play upstroke on this again. So that's your dotted 8th, 16th again. Just as we've done before. Down, up, palm mute on the A string. Pull off 1-0 on the D string. Then I'm going to slide 1 to 2 on the D string, just like we did in the first bar of this. Open G string. And then second fret that B string. So it's kind of like a variation, but basically what we did in the first bar there. Yeah. Then I've got the open A string again in this next bar, and then we do the usual down up open A string, pull off 1 to 0 on the D string, and then 2 0 2 0. So doing that D G B G. Now there's an overdub here. I think he probably moves up like that, but the other guitar comes sliding in. So when Nuno's doing this live, obviously there's only one guitar, so I would do that and do the slide in for the next part of the riff. And what we're doing now is we're back to our kind of riff. So again, I've got the E power chord, then up. Sounds like you might hear more of the chord here, and then I've got my 3 0 3 4. Yeah, so palm mute the 3 0 3 4. Then I've got the E string, open palm mute, then 3 4. Then I hit the power chord E, kind of down up. Yeah, so it's, yeah. Then you do that again, so you get E power chord up, then 3 0 3 4. Then you're going to do 5 5 in the A string, 3 4 in the E string, and then 4 4 in the A string, and then 3 4 in the E string. Yeah. So it sounds like that. Yeah. Then I play an A power chord. So I play the open A string, second fret that D string, and then we've got a really cool bit here. And so what Nuno's doing here is he's going to take the heel of his hand and rub it on the strings, but you're doing it in a nice 16th rhythm here. So this kind of goes 1 E and A, so it lasts for a whole beat, 1 E and A. Then you're going to do 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. So it's like down, up, so down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah. Then you play that A power chord again, make sure it rings for the beat, 1 E and A, yeah, so count that 1 E and A if you want. Then you're going to do 2 E and A, so down, up, down, up. But then there's a rest, and then there's up, down, rest, up, down, up. Yeah, so it's just kind of change the rhythm up with it there. Yeah, and then the next bar we play the A power chord, but now we're doing 16th note triplets. So you're going to hear like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So the way to do this is kind of like down up 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 down up, where that first down's on the beat. Yeah, so you get that kind of feel. So there's a really cool kind of rhythmical variation there. And then what you're going to do is play an A power chord, play palm mute A string, go up to the 14th fret. Play the second or the 14th fret, the D and the B, G strings there, so you're playing up an octave. Slide, play the A power chord twice. So that's quite a jump to get kind of down. Then we have a slide that leads us into the pre-chorus. Yeah. So that next pre-chorus sounds like this. So our pre-chorus here is pretty much exactly the same as before, we just have a little fill in it. So once we've done this, the second bar, D, you have that bit. Instead of going, we go, yeah, if I get it right there. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be doing like a bend at the 4th fret, the G string here, and I'm aiming for a pinch harmonic. It sounds like it's like a kind of a 5th above there. An F sharp, so you bend, hit that pinch harmonic, bend up 3 times, up and down 3 times, but it has a kind of swing to it, so make sure you go wow wow, that kind of lilt to it, and then I do that pull off to the 2nd fret, the G string, and then I do 4 2 in the D string, pull off. Pick it as well, I guess. And then the next 2 bars are exactly the same as before. And that leads us into the next chorus, which sounds like this. So in this second chorus, just before the solo, everything's pretty much the same, just a couple of variations. One variation is when we're doing our E to A power chords here, as he goes. He just sits in that A power chord rather than changing up the rhythm there. I mean, it's not a big difference, but just if you want the detail there. And we also change up the ending, so we've done our... So just before the solo, the rhythm part here does our usual E power chord. Then you do your 3-0-3-4. And then you're going to play basically 4th fret harmonics on the D and the G strings. And then dip with the bar. So I use my 4th finger for that. Yeah. And then the kind of riff starts for the guitar solo part. And that sounds like this. Now we have a very cool part of the tune, and what we're doing here is basically playing up like an F sharp pentatonic minor with some really cool bluesy, chromatic, jazzy notes put in. So we start off with a 2nd fret of that E string there, so that's my F sharp root note, and then you've got this syncopated feel for the next bit. So what you're doing like that, so that feels like this kind of staggered, drawn out kind of feel to it. And what I'm doing there is I'm playing A string, then I'm going to do 2nd fret of that A string twice. Yeah, it's kind of 3 times actually, because you lead into the next beat, and then you play 3rd fret of that A string there. And these are the same sort of rhythms of these kind of dotted 8s. So it's got 3rd fret of that A string there, 4th fret of the A string, then you're doing 2nd fret of the D string, 3rd fret of the D string. So that's a cool, it's a little major 7. It leads back to this root note of the F sharp there. Yeah, so it goes. Yeah, really cool rhythm. Love that sort of stuff. Then you're going to play 2-4 in the G string, staccato. So they're nice and short. Bat. And then we've got this. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is a quick little triplet kind of 16th note run. I'm doing 4-2 in the G string, 4-2 in the D, 4-2 in the A. So if you're used to your down up alternate picking, it's down up down up down up. If you do what I do, which is up down up down up down, whatever works. Yeah. And then you start a kind of the riff again, but now you start from low E string. So I'm doing low E string, hit it again, play 2nd fret there. And this whole section has this kind of feel. It's like ba 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 ba. So it's like 0-0-2, 0-0-2 in the A string, 3-3-4 in the A string, like that. Yeah. And this sustains into the next bar, and then you're coming in after beat 1 here, and you're going to play this sequence. It goes. So what I'm playing here is 4 in the A string, 2nd in the D string, 4 in the A string, 2-4 in the D string. Then I do 2 in the G string, 4 in the D string, sorry, 4 in the D string, then 2-4 in the G string, and then I've got a little, just like a little fill, but now with the bend. So bend up and down, 4th fret, pull to the 2nd fret, pull off to the 2nd fret there, and then I do 4-2 in the G, 4-2 in the D. That's kind of the run there. Then you do the whole thing again with just a couple of variations. So this all starts the same. And in this bit here, there's a little variation. You just do 3-4 there. I mean, when Nuno's playing this, he's not going to play in this exact same way that's kind of on the recording. This is just the way it was recorded on the day. I know Nuno double tracks a lot of stuff, so he would have double tracked this so it matched exactly, but you're not going to deviate too much if you have, whereas it's pretty much the same thing. And then we end off with the same fill, and then we get to the riff after the solo. That sounds like this. So this is another awesome bit in the song. So what we're doing here is we've got this rhythm on the kind of A power chords here, so I'm doing my usual barring the D and G strings at the 2nd fret. So I like to do that with a down. Then the next 2 A power chords I'm doing with an upstroke, so I do like a muted sound with a downstroke. Then we have this, and the way to count this is this bit comes in beat 4. 4. So in that beat there, we play this little kind of sliding thirds idea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slide 7 to 9 in the D string with the 3rd finger, and then I play G string, the 7th fret with that 1st finger there. Then I take it up. Once I've done that G string pick, I slide 9 to 11 on the D string, 9 in the G string, so little minor thirds. Then I slide 11 to 12 in the D string, and then I play 11th fret the G string there. So finger wise I use 3rd and 2nd finger there, so 3rd and 1st, then 3rd and 2nd. Then what I'm going to do is slide 12 to 14, and then back to a minor third to play 12th fret of the G string there. Then I'm going to slide 14 to 16 on that D string, and then 14th fret the G string, back to 16th fret on that D string there. And then I end it off by playing 16, 17, 18 on the G string here. And the 18th fret, I just dig in a little bit more and you hear a little pinch harmonic. Yeah. Yeah, that's that first bit. Then you play the A power chords again. And once I've done that, you're going straight into this next bit. So the way to think about that, you've got your down, up, down, up. Play open A string pan muted. And what I'm going to be doing here is these little thirds on the G and the B strings. So if you want to think of pairings, what I'm going to be doing is I use my 3rd finger here on a bar, the 14th fret, the G and B strings there. So I play that, and then what I've got rhythmically, so I've just done that A string. So I play the 14th fret bar on the G and B strings, then I play the open A string pan muted once, then I play 13th fret the G string with the 3rd finger, 12th fret the B string with the 2nd finger there. Yeah, so that 3rd finger, middle finger. And that's like a rhythm there, so you've got the bass note twice, chord, bass note once, chord, yeah? Then I've got the A string twice, move that shape down, so now your 11th fret the G, and then 10th fret the B string there. Yeah, A string once, then I'm going to move down, so I'm now basically barring the 9th fret on the G and B strings there. So that pairing is, yeah. Then our next pairing is going to be 7th fret of that G and B strings here. Again, I'm barring with the 3rd finger, yeah. And then I'm playing 5th fret the B, 6th fret the G string with the 2nd, 3rd finger. So like that, yeah. And then we end it off by moving that down 2 frets, so my 3rd finger's in 4th fret G, middle finger's in 3rd fret the B string there. And I'm going to play this one yanda. So I do down up in that. And then when I get to the next beat, I'm going to hit that and pull off. So I'm now barring at the 2nd fret of the G and B strings there. Hit it twice. So it kind of sounds like that. So slowly it goes. So yeah, so just make sure you get the right kind of sequence there. It's one of these things when I try and play it slow, I can't play it. Yeah, and that's quite tricky to do at speed. So the tricky bit is getting this that jump. So you could slow that down. This is one of the cool things you can do. If you remember the Patreon, you've got access to the sound slice tab. So you can loop this bit, put a speed trainer on it, start at 60%, go up 10% every 4 repeats, whatever, to work on this kind of speed of this. And that leads us into another chorus that sounds like this. So this third chorus is pretty much everything we've had before in the previous choruses. It's just you don't end with it. You go straight into another chorus, and everything's kind of the same. This bit here, again, you can let it ring, hit it twice, whatever, but there's nothing kind of too different there. And what we do is we basically play that, and we get into another chorus that sounds like this. So again, this last chorus is pretty much the same as the choruses we had before, just little variations. Instead of doing the, you might just go, and then you might play in beat 4 there, just some emphasis, but nothing much is different. But after we played this, obviously this time we do have our ending, and that bit there, your ring variation there is letting that ring out a little bit more, and then we get into our final riff, which sounds like this. So in this final playthrough of the riff, we're pretty much doing everything the same as before. Yeah. Just like that fill early on, one of the pre-choruses, we've got one of these again. Exactly the same, you know, pinch harmonic, 4th fret, B string. Sounds like an F sharp, up and down 3 times. Yeah. Then we have a little variation here where we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the A power chord, and I'm going to be playing that little upstroke in the A like we did before. But I'm now going to play 3rd fret of that A string with 16ths. So I'm kind of doing. So I'm doing up down up in that. So up down up in the 3rd fret, and then I'm doing 4-0. You can either think of it as doing like 3 on 3rd fret that A string twice, and then 3-4-0. Yeah. Then I'm going to do the E string 3rd fret twice. Yeah, kind of staccato. And then I'm going to do a 3-0 these 3-0 pull off at the end of that. So it's kind of like a little groovy variation. Then we do the same again, but this time, this last bit, we don't put the little A string in there. We just have it. If I play it correctly. This bit's quite tricky actually, because what you have to do here is do that 0-3-4, and you can hear with the 2 track guitars, one plays this low G, another bit doesn't, but I've transcribed it with the low G. So you do 0-3-4, and then immediately go to 3 in the E string, and then you're playing this G power chord again that we've got all the way through it, and they're doing upstroke on the top strings. You might even hear the open G string as well, and then it's kind of silent there before we get into the next bit, which arguably is one of my most favourite bits on the whole Pornograffitti, and it sounds like this. Man, I love this bit. I think it has an impact on me personally because you've got the, not going to do it, but, and then there's silence. So it's like a lot of these things, that silence makes the next thing that happens after it just hit so much harder. So as usual, we've got that, not going to do it, silence, then you go, you get your pick scrape slide down, and we're playing our pre-chorus riff. You know, which is awesome already. But what we're going to do here is basically play through that. The second time through the D and A, you've got, And what I'm doing here is I'm going to bend 4th fret of that G string again. I'm going to bend up and down, and then up again. When I get to the height of that, I tap at the 12th fret, pull off, release the bend like that, you know. Yeah. Now you don't hear that 2nd fret there, I don't know why I played that. And then you're back into this again. But now we have this little variation. So what we're going to do here is this G, upstroke, E, but I'm going to play the E string pan muted. Then we have this cool little funky rhythm here. So the way to think about this is you're going to play these 2 chords, and then you've got a little down up either on the E string or the A string, depending on what chord you just played. So this time it's the E string. I'm going to do 5, 7, 5 staccato. Then I'm doing 7, 5, 7. Pan mute that, and then 7 that pan mute. Yeah. Then I'm doing the D A. So that minute I've just done that up there, I'm going to do down up in the A string. Same thing, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. Then I've got the G and E again. Yeah. Then I do the D and A. And then we have this little fill here, and I'm denied about how to play this, because obviously live Nuno doesn't kind of play this, but he does different things. So what I've got here is, I think, one way of playing it, but any which way you kind of break this down is awkward to play. So what we're going to be doing here, so I'm doing like up, down, up now on that A string. Then I'm going to play 7th fret of the G string, and then I'm going to take my 3rd finger, which might feel awkward, but the reason I'm playing it like this is I want to be playing 7th fret of the G string, A string, doing that 8th fret with the 3rd finger. I'm going to do a middle finger 7 to 5 slide. Then I play 2nd fret the G string, and I'm going to do a slide with the 3rd finger here, 4, 3, 4. Yeah. Even the playing it slow there is really awkward, so that might take a little bit of time to get comfortable. But that's that little fill there. And then you're back into our G and E. This time we go, so we double everything up here. So I've just done my open A string. I'm going to do 5 in that D string twice, 7 twice, 5, 7, and then 5, 5 on the D, 7 on the A string. Again, you can put a bit of pan mute in that. At this point, of course, everything's kind of fading out, but look at the last 2 bars here. He does the G to E again. Then we have this little fill like this. So what we're doing here is I'm going to play the open E string. Then I'm going to do a hammer 5, 7 on that E string up to the 5th fret of that A string there. So it's kind of like a triplet. Then I'm going to play 5 on the D string. You know, so you might want a bar there. Do a pull off 7, 5 on the A string, and then 7 on that E string. So again, that's a triplet. And then I'm going to do kind of pull off to 5, or you could pick it, but a slide from 5 to 3. Then you do a D to A power chord, and then you start this little fill the same, but you do this. Do the hammer on 5, 7, 5 in the A string. Then I'm going to do 5 in the D, 7 in the A string twice, and then you do 5, 7, 7 in the D string, and that's that there. Again, at this point you can hardly hear what's going on, but I thought I'd look at those kind of little fills. And that's it, guys. That's all the little rhythm parts to When I'm President. If you want access to the animated sound slice tab for this, where you've got the whole song, you can loop sections if you want to get that tricky bit down in the middle. You can loop it, speed it up. You'll get access to the tab in PDF and Guitar Pro formats as well if you come over to the Patreon. I'll also be doing the solo for this, but I'll start working on that now. But as usual, if you want to check out any more the kind of Nuno stuff I've done, check out the Nuno playlist, or you can have a look at the lessons I've already done on Decadence Dance. So we've got the whole song plus the solo, and I've done the same for Little Jack Courtney. I'm just going through song by song, so it might only take me 10 years. We'll get there. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that cleared some things up for you. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you soon.